Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to Divinely Decked. And for this Tarot and Oracle review done Stacy style, we are doing another rendition of Blind Deck Dating. And today we are featuring the Out of Hand Tarot deck from Jamie Sawyer and the Citadel Fantasy Oracle from Fen Inkwright. So without further ado, let's get to it. So let's kind of get a feel for, first impressions. They're meeting at the bar, they've planned to have a drink, and let's just sort of see where it goes. And I'm really kind of excited to see how this particular deck combination goes, because they're both quite unique in their own right. So on first glance and first impressions, there isn't a ton that is, I want to say, similar, except for the fact that the central image has a similar sort of a shape, sort of a wave. There's a flow and a synergy of the flow here. This is more nature-based. This is buildings and cities and architecture. We have some shapes, the triangle shapes that are going on here, which actually are just the elements representing the different elements. Here we don't have elements per se, but we do have triangular shapes in the shape of this pie that are connected here. So a little bit of similarity. What I like about the background here is that it's kind of like a stormy sea, or could be like a stormy sky. And in the background here, we have, it feels like wave energy. So even though this one is very black and white with a little bit of red, and this one is, kind of color, I feel that there's kind of a watery sort of energy to it. And then let's state the obvious. This is a traditional cut of a tarot deck, and this is a very unique cut of a tarot deck where the corners, like we've cut the crusts off. We've cut the corners off. And I don't know if this is like a hexagon or what this particular, shape name is, but very, very different, very unique. And I love this because it's different enough, but still has elements where you can shuffle it without it getting all weird and wonky. All right, so let's do sort of that shared vibe and see what we're getting with each of these cards. So as we take a look, they're both bordered. This is more, I want to say everything's done in the black and gray border, but this is done all in white. So we're seeing opposites here in that regard. This is a white background, this is a black background, but they are bordered. This is a simpler border, and I would say a lot of the imagery is simpler in nature, a little more, not minimalistic, but not as frilly and flavored as what we have here, with a lot of bold colors that are happening. But I do really like the kind of the attention to detail. What we're seeing here is, tattoos and drawings on the boxes that are very similar to the style of the drawings here. So we have something that I want to say is a little more of substance, a little more grounded. This feels like an earthy based deck, and this feels like an airy based deck, swords energy versus pentacle energy kind of thing. So I'm liking that. Not mad at that at all. All right, let's look at the second one here. Five of Pentacles and the Fate, accepting help and guidance. Now, what I find really interesting here is this deck is all about hands. So every card that you're going to see is going to have a hand in it. So that in itself isn't a surprise. But the fact that we're just introducing these two decks and this card comes up with hands, it feels like, okay, we're trying to find our commonality here. We're trying to find what really works and what's going to make us tick. So I feel that these decks are already trying to work together. They're already trying to find reasons to stay and enjoy the drink and see where things, are coming from, where that's concerned. Here we have some scissors to cut some ties, cut some strings. We've got a thread and needle happening here, and almost like they're playing cats in the cradle. So some level of organization that is happening here. What we're seeing here is counting of money, an accounting of things. So I wouldn't say there's, exact similarity here, but I feel that there's attention to, a particular issue, a particular area of something. They're playing cats in the cradle, which requires some detail and some structure. This requires some detail and some structure as well. So I feel like they're kind of on the same page so far, which is kind of interesting. Nine of Swords and the Patron, mentorship and finances. So again, this deck does not have all hands in it, but we're showing hands again. So I find that really fascinating. I promise you, I did not, stack the deck before these sessions and before these videos. Who has the time to do that shit? Certainly not me. So I love this. I always say you can't make this shit up. So I'm definitely feeling that there is some synergy here. What I'm drawn to is like these hands are apart, these hands are together, but there is this symbol in the center, sort of these two wands or two crosses or, whatever we want to call it, that are crossing each other, similar to what he's doing with his hands. So I find, again, this deck is really making an effort to find similarity with this deck. And they both are representing books. So there is right away just so much synergy. I'm loving this. Yes, we have the minimalist colors, so you're always going to see black, white, and red with the occasional copper color in for good measure, and you're always going to see different colors here. But I really feel the energy of these two decks trying to work together. All right, let's do one more here before we move on. We have the Judgment card with the trumpet and all of the hands pointing. Now, the reflection of the hands pointing, and the angel is trumpeting, sounding the trumpet. And here we have the waker, awareness and reflection. Well, folks, if you're sleeping and someone blows a trumpet in your room, what do you think it does? It wakes you up. So I find that really interesting as well. I'm noticing, the swirliness of the clouds matches the swirliness of the clouds here in the out of hand tarot. So there's definitely a lot of synergy where this is concerned. Also, not that this is exact, this is an eyeball in the center, but I'm drawn to this center focus here, which is the center of the trumpet where the sound is coming out. So yes, this already, like, we've already finished the first drink, we're on to the second drink. And I'm really excited about that. This is so cool. Okay, so what unique chemistry emerges when their voices blend? This is exploring their spark. Okay, we got the Hanged One. That's interesting. Chilling like a villain. And the Gambler. Okay, so we got hands in this one too. Interesting. Okay, and funny, we have feet. No hands in this one. We have feet. And we've got hands. So that's really interesting. If we talk about the unique chemistry, once again, we've already determined that these two decks are definitely really making a concerted effort to work with one another. There's a sense of flow. There's a sense of fun that is happening here. The Hanged One energy. So we talk about surrender. We talk about being in limbo. We talk about enlightenment. We talk about a shift in perspective. This person is hanging upside down, so they're looking at the ceiling, and we're seeing a ceiling fan, and we're seeing light, the light in the ceiling. And the Gambler coming through, loss and risks, playing games, card games, taking a risk, taking a chance. So I feel like the unique chemistry here is this one is going to kind of hold back a little bit, and this one's going to say, well, here's how you take the risk. Here's how you take the chance. Here's your perspective. All right, based on this perspective, this is what you want to do. Here's how you want to roll the dice. Here are the cards that you want to play. So I feel like there's going to be, from that unique chemistry perspective, there's always going to be not devil's advocate, but this one is going to show the opposite perspective to this one. This one's going to bring what perspective we need to look at the guidance with. And this is going to bring okay, here's how you move forward with that. Here's the risk that you can take. This makes the most sense. I also feel like the fact that we've got yet another card with hands on it, this one is saying, okay, you're seeing things from a different perspective. You don't have access to your hands right now. Let me be your hands. Let me help you to take the risk. Let me help you to feel empowered about this decision and this choice. So definitely feeling that there is very much a unique chemistry where they're both going to try to empower and support one another in the things that they want to create. The clash, where might their personalities challenge each other or cause tension? This will be interesting. I can't get over this. This actually is a really interesting combination. I didn't think that this was going to be good at all, especially with sort of that black and white energy. Eight of Wands and the Founder. Wow, foundations and community. So when we're talking about the clash, what I'm finding really interesting here is Eight of Wands is like swift release. It's about travel. It's that wand energy. So there's passion, there's fire, there's direction, there's movement. And the Founder is like, but we have to have something solid, foundation. You know, this is coloring outside the lines. Yes, I've colored a foundation in, but the foundation is not my main focus. But in this deck, it is. So I feel like where their personalities kind of challenge each other is that this one is going to always come back to but what really needs to be here now? What do we need to always have? You know, a sense of security, a sense of safety. And this one is going to be like, but I don't care about that. I want to do something else. I want to do something different. You know, I gave you my perspective. You gave me some really great ideas. Why are you now, taking away my fun? Why are you now peeing on my parade or peeing in my cornflakes? You know, I'm ready to go and spread my wings and to add color. And you just want me to stay in the flow of work. So I feel like the Citadel is always going to bring an energy of what needs to be here now, or the details, focusing on the boring parts of life, the necessary parts of life, but the boring parts of life. Also, it's interesting that this represents community as well. And we're not seeing a ton of community here. This feels very much solo energy. So I feel like this deck is also going to be asking questions about who you want to be talking to about this, who you want to involve yourself in this. When we're pulling guidance on this, based on the guidance, who can help you? And this deck might say, I kind of want to do it by myself. I kind of want to do it on my own. I don't want to have to ask for help. I don't want to have to lean in, and let somebody in. And this deck is going to say, yeah, but that's the foundation of life. That's what you need in order to be able to support yourself and to move forward. So I feel like ultimately they want to help one another, but they might not. It might be one of those things where they don't always like the guidance that they receive, but they respect it. That's kind of what I'm kind of feeling around that. Hidden layers. What unexpected truth does one deck bring out in the other? This is just, it's making me laugh. Like, we got like 3 hands cards. I mean, I didn't even know there were that many hands in this deck, in the Citadel deck. I haven't looked at the Citadel deck in months. Page of Pentacles and the Pilgrim, opportunities and growth. Interesting. Okay, so unexpected truth. Page of Pentacles is the curious one. Page of Pentacles is the one that sets up the lab experiment, not because they are attached to the outcome, but because they're curious about the experiment itself. They're doing the experiment for the sake of the experiment. They want to find out all that they can about what is transpiring, what is in their world, why are things happening the way that they are. They're curious. They want more knowledge. The Pilgrim energy, opportunities and growth. So the Pilgrim is kind of like ancient, old energy, staunch, pure, focusing on purity, focusing on the simplicity of things. It's interesting that the Pilgrim is being used as a representation for opportunities and growth. It's kind of saying you have to break out of who you have always been in order to be able to move into who you are. So what I'm feeling here is they're both on the same page. And the Page of Pentacles says, okay, you're doing things in a little bit of an old-fashioned way. Let me show you the more modern approach to things. You're focusing on the simplicity of it, and there's nothing wrong with the simplicity of it, but let's learn a little bit more about that particular rose. Let's do a little experiment. Let's find out. Let's dig a little deeper. Shine your light so that I can read this book, so that we together can learn more. So I definitely feel like these 2 decks are going to bring exploration and curiosity out in one another. This deck is going to encourage this deck to not be so staunch and predictable, and boring. Not to say that this deck is boring, but just the energy of it. This deck is going to say, all right, let's modernize it. Let's bring it to the forefront. Let's have some fun with this. Because yes, I'm curious. Yes, I want to know. Yes, I want to know how to, put this information into practice. But I want to do it in a fun and interesting way. I don't want to feel stuck. And our future date potential. If these two decks keep working together, what kind of guidance are they going to co-create? So I definitely feel like we are on appetizers at this point, and we are getting ready. We're just waiting for our table because we've decided we are definitely doing dinner. This is very exciting. I like this combination. Okay, future date potential. Interesting. So it's going to be, this card deck is all about liberation, liberating the information. I don't want to wait anymore to find out what's in this package. And even though it's sealed shut, I'm ripping it open and I'm figuring out a way to get in. I'm releasing myself of the burdens of my mind, of my mental energy. And we have the witch, experimentation and rebellion. So this deck is going to support this. Going to say, yeah, break that shit open. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look good. It's the information that's important. It's what's inside that matters. That's what counts. So I definitely feel here that these two decks, when you are working on guidance and you really want to understand, I want to say you want to get to the heart of something, but you want a deck that's going to support the information so that you really understand where things are at. You're looking for clarity around, here's what I want to do. What do I need to do? Or how do I make that happen? This combination is going to bring that. This one is going to say, okay, I want to do things differently. And this one says, all right, let's do it. Let's get in there. Let's figure out the best way to do it. Again, the gambler. This is how you're going to take chances. This is going to be the best form of success. And I'm in it to win it with you. I'm here flowing in all of those spaces and places. Wow, guys. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're definitely having dinner, and I definitely feel that there are going to be future dates between these two decks. And I am just blown away. I just got to say, I'm kind of proud of myself because I think the Out of Hand Tarot and the Citadel Fantasy Oracle really are two excellent decks. I cannot wait personally to work with these two decks, especially because I got some business related things coming up and I want to kind of know what the next direction or the best right path or the right choice is. And I feel like it's this combination that's going to give it to me. So, super excited. So please let me know in the comments what you thought about this particular combination. Do you agree with me? Do you think it's too crazy? What are some of the things that are going on in your mind? I would love to build a dialogue and see what's going on there. I'm so excited to announce that I now have memberships through YouTube. So if you want to keep the conversation going and go a little bit deeper with all of my content, I encourage you to click the join button. And there are 3 different options there for you to connect. Would love to be able to continue that connection with you in that way or any other way that suits you. Until we see each other again for another segment of Divinely Decked, sending you so much love and support. We will see you on the flip side and transform well. That's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great to connect with you guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more content like this. And feel free to follow me on Blue Sky for even more content every single day. Can't wait to see you guys next week for another installment of Black Feather Couture, Divining the VIP Life.